the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
If general manager Ryan Poles can pull this signing off, this would give the Bears the most flexibility going into round 1 of the 2025 NFL Draft. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. So, Bears fans, we are almost a week away from round 1 of the 2025 NFL Draft. And before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to remind you guys once again that I will be going live for round 1 of the NFL Draft right here on Keek on the Mic. So make sure you guys come join my little live stream draft party right here on the podcast. Can't wait to react with you guys because at the moment we have no idea which direction that the Chicago Bears are going in with the number 10 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. But as I was thinking more about the upcoming draft, Bears fans, I had this crazy idea. I even reached out to my dad before I even recorded today's podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. And I was like, you know what, Dad, would this make some sense for the Chicago Bears? It would give them even more flexibility going into round 1. And he's like, you know what, son, that actually makes a whole lot of sense. I would actually like that pickup for the Chicago Bears. The move that I would love to have Ryan Poles consider going into next week's draft is signing veteran edge rusher Sedarius Smith. And I know what you guys are thinking. There's no way. He's 32 years old. We already have Dayo Odeyingbo. It's going to probably cost too much money, blah, 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 blah. But Sedarius Smith, 6'4", 275 pounds. Yes, he is 32 years old. Yes, maybe it costs a little extra than we have to spend. But in his 10-year career, he has been pretty consistent, 69 total sacks, and has proven that he can still play. Last year for both the Browns and the Lions, he totaled 10 sacks, 46 hurries, 7 quarterback hits, and 63 total pressures. The funny thing about Sedarius Smith is that he's played for every single NFC North team, so the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, and then the Detroit Lions, besides the Chicago Bears. So he can end his NFC North tour with the Bears. Obviously, you know, Ryan Poles has made it very clear time and time again that you can not have enough good edge rushers on your football team. And he made that very clear by bringing Dayo Odeyingbo. There's been a lot of, draft analysts saying that the Bears could maybe be in on a defensive tackle or edge rusher in the NFL draft as well. So obviously Ryan Poles is still looking to add to the position. And I think Sedarius Smith would be the perfect piece, the perfect veteran to come in, bring veteran leadership, and make a huge impact on the Chicago Bears defensive line. If you're able to add Sedarius Smith with Dayo Odeyingbo, Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, Javon Dexter, and even with Grady Jarrett, Andrew Billings as well on their interior, that would be a pretty good defensive line that we would have here in Chicago. And that wouldn't eliminate the fact that Ryan Poles can still go into the 2025 NFL draft and still draft another edge rusher maybe in round 2 or round 3. I just think by adding a veteran that still can make an impact on the defensive line like Sedarius Smith would give Ryan Poles even more flexibility to do whatever he wanted to in round 1 of the 2025 NFL draft. So once again, it all comes down to money. The Chicago Bears currently only have $9 million in cap space left, and they do have to save some money for their upcoming draft picks in the 2025 draft, right? So Ryan Poles has to be cautious. I know that even though Sedarius Smith is 32 years old, he's still going to want probably somewhere in the ballpark of maybe what? $8 to $12 million, maybe including incentives. So it may be a little bit pricey, but it's just the idea and thought that I had in my head. And it was like, I was just sitting on my couch like, well, Sedarius Smith can, still play football, right? And I know he loves going against the Green Bay Packers as well. Everywhere he has played with the Vikings, he beat the Green Bay Packers. With the Lions, he beat the Green Bay Packers, right? So obviously, maybe it would bring us some more good luck and help us beat the Green Bay Packers even more here in Chicago. So let me know how you're feeling about this idea of maybe adding Zadarius Smith, rather it's before the NFL draft or maybe after the NFL draft as we get closer to training camp if he's still available. But at the moment, I would love the addition, pairing him with Montez Sweat and Dio Dangbo and the guys that we already have here on the defensive line. He can be, a part of a solid rotation here under new Bears defensive coordinator Dennis Allen, and just be a passing down edge rusher, right? So second and longs, third and longs adds massive amount of value, right? 63 total pressures in 2024 at 32 years old. It's still pretty good for an older edge rusher, right? So to me, I like the idea. And once again, it gives the Chicago Bears even more flexibility going into this year's NFL draft if they choose to maybe bring a guy like that in. But I doubt it. Once again, just hypothetical. Let me know if you would like to see the Chicago Bears and Ryan Poles sign Zadarius Smith and bring him here to Chicago. But Bears fans, before I let you guys go on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to talk about the buzz that's growing. That the Bears, that they may pull a surprise with the 10th overall pick in the upcoming 2025 NFL draft. Obviously, the Bears have been connected to a couple of offensive linemen in round one, guys like Will Campbell, guys like Armand Membu. And I know there's a lot of Bears fans are going to comment down below saying, Keek, get off the Armand Membu train. He's lazy. He's this, he's that. I am just, saying, don't kill the messenger. I'm just saying that these are the guys that we've been hearing that they may be interested in. Armand Membu and Will Campbell. But the one name that is kind of gaining traction ahead of round one of the 2025 NFL draft is Kelvin Banks, the tackle out of Texas. He is 6'4", 320 pounds, has 3 years of starting experience against pretty good competition while playing at Texas. He's a good athlete, posted an 8.25 RAS score. He has no injury concerns, and his run blocking is the core strength of his game. So it makes a lot of sense why Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles could be interested in a guy like Kelvin Banks. And don't get me wrong, I don't dislike Kelvin Banks. I would personally prefer guys like Will Campbell if he's there, if the Chicago Bears really want to add a left tackle in round one of the 2025 NFL draft. But once again, I do see why Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles, and the Bears like a guy like Banks. He has experience. He has a high athletic ceiling. He has no injury concerns, much like how we talked about Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. He's a good left tackle, but has those injury concerns coming into the draft. And his strength is run blocking, which will be crucial under new head coach Ben Johnson as he creates an offense around Caleb Williams. So he has the makeup to come in and compete at left tackle with Braxton Jones and Karan Amagaji. But my concern when looking and really watching Kelvin Banks play, and I'll be the first one to say that Texas is one of my favorite schools in college football. Definitely love the guys that they produce, and bring to the NFL draft. But when you're looking at Kelvin Banks, he's still a little bit unpolished. Once again, really good in the run game when you watch him on tape. But when you watch him, especially against Georgia last season, he struggled with hand placement and or balance issues and pass protection. That leads to some lapses in pass protection as well. And that is concerning, especially playing left tackle. It's all fine and dandy that you are really good against the run, but we need you to be a good pass protector as well, especially playing left tackle, trying to protect our franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. And don't get me wrong, we have now a really good offensive line coach in Dan Rashard, arguably one of the best in the National Football League. And he can probably polish Kelvin Banks to be a franchise left tackle for the Chicago Bears. My thing for the Bears is I want them to draft as close to a plug-and-play player that they can get, right? I think Will Campbell can be a plug-and-play player. I think, Ashton Jeanty, Tyler Warren could be a plug-and-play player. You can even make arguments that Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle from Michigan, can be a plug-and-play guy. I just don't really see, Kelvin Banks being a plug-and-play guy. And especially with the number 10 overall pick in the NFL draft, you want to make sure that guy comes in right away and is able to contribute. And if he has any question marks in pass protection, I'm especially playing left tackle on this offensive line, that can be a huge concern. Of course, you can make some arguments saying, well, Keek, of course, he's going to have Joe Tooney next to him. And, he's a future Hall of Famer, so maybe he can help with the transition. But to me, I want to make sure if we're going to draft a left tackle, he is a surefire starter coming in from day one on the Chicago Bears offensive line. If Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, and the Bears feel that they can get him to that point where he can be a solid day one impact player for this offensive line, then yeah, go ahead and draft Kelvin Banks. Have trust in Dan Rashard, have trust in your other O-line coaches that you have on this football team, and see if we can make Kelvin Banks into a franchise left tackle. But if you don't feel that with Kelvin Banks, then go in a different direction. For me personally, I'm not really okay with Kelvin Banks at number 10. I would be okay with maybe a trade back option, maybe recouping a second round pick or adding a second round pick, maybe another pick in next year's draft, and then landing Kelvin Banks maybe in 17-20 range in round one of this year's NFL draft. But at number 10, I think there's going to be other players on the board that, are better than Kelvin Banks. And I'm not saying that left tackle is not a need for the Chicago Bears, right? But at the same time, I just don't really see Kelvin Banks as a plug-and-play guy for the Bears. But like I mentioned, just giving you guys a quick little update that there is buzz growing between Kelvin Banks and the Chicago Bears in round one of the 2025 NFL draft. So Bears fans, before I let you guys go, let me ask you guys this. If this is the scenario that played out for Ryan Poles and the Bears in round one, would you guys be okay with Kelvin Banks, the tackle out of Texas? Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for an all-new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.